New York City, the Big Apple, the largest metropolitan area in the United States. It's a city that never sleeps, and it's also one that has a lot of symbols that are very representative of the icons of that great city. And one of them, of course, is the taxi cab. Those iconic yellow taxi cabs in New York City, just like London with its iconic black cabs, the yellow cabs in New York City is how all the tourists want to get around in comfort in the Big Apple. But did you know that the first ever taxis in New York City that are actually motor cars and not horse and drawn cars were EVs, electric vehicles? I know, it's incredible. I was on Facebook the other day, I was scrolling through posts, and I saw that the first ever taxi cabs in New York City were electric vehicles, EVs, and I thought, no way, that can't be true. But I've done some research, and it is true, incredibly. So I'm going to tell you the story of these and why they eventually fell out of fashion, because they were a big success. They really were. But factors outside of their control, unfortunately, doomed them to the history books. And we may see electric vehicles, taxis in New York City become the most popular ones on the roads one day. I imagine that's going to happen sooner or later with the new congestion charge that has come in. But let's have a look to the past here. Let's have a look down memory lane. So, the first taxi company in New York City was the Samuels Electric Carriage and Wagon Company, ECWC, which began running 12 electric cabs in July 1897. Bear in mind, this is only about 10 years after Carl Benz over in Germany invented the first ever motor car. So this is really, really early in the history of the car. The company ran until 1898 with up to 62 cabs operating until it was reformed by its financiers to form the Electric Vehicle Company. That company then built the Electrobat electric car and had up to 100 taxis running by the end of the century. 1899 also saw a number of notable firsts for the EVC. On the 20th of May 1899, Jacob German, who was driving an electric taxi cab, received the first ever speeding ticket in the United States. So the first ever speeding ticket for a car was handed out for an EV. Unbelievable. I never would have guessed that. Later that same year, on the 13th of September, Henry Bliss became the first victim of a car crash in the US as well, when he was hit by an electric taxi cab as he was helping a friend from a streetcar, which I believe is basically a tram for us here in Europe. By the early 1900s, the EVC was running up to 1,000 electric taxi cabs. 1,000. That is a huge amount in the streets of New York City, until in January 1907, a fire destroyed 300 of these vehicles. In conjunction with the Panic of 1907, this caused the company to collapse. What was the Panic of 1907? It was basically an economic crash in the United States. This was before the Great Depression, a good 21 years or so before that. But unfortunately, in these economic hardship times, companies did go under. If you're wondering what this Electrobat is, by the way, I've had a look at this. I'll try and get a picture on the edit here. It'll be very blurry and stuff, but this is from 1894. Morris and Salem are on this. I don't know. I guess they're the inventors of it. But yeah, it's very basic, but you know, it's an electric car from like the late 1800s. I mean, it's incredible, really. But what happened? What happened after that? Did they go to the motor car after that? Well, no, actually. Horse-drawn cabs became popular again. Again, in economic hardship, it makes sense to go back to something that's a bit more rustic. Eventually, we did get the motor car cabs, the ICE cabs, if you want to call them, in New York. But the electric cabs never came back after that. Not until we're seeing now some EVs come in New York. But yeah, it literally took like over 100 years for them to come back. So it's incredible, really. If things go full circle, we'll get electric vehicles being the only cabs in New York City eventually at some point, I am sure. But yeah, this has happened before. They They were already there this whole time. I never knew. And I'm sure that'll surprise a lot of people find that out, but it's absolutely true. I've done my research on this. This is absolutely 100% true. This happened. I'd be interested to see if other cities had something similar as well, but maybe that's a video for another day. But yeah, there you go, guys. Some information here on the motoringchronicle.com. That's what we do at the end of the day. Did you know that the first taxi cabs in New York City were EVs? The first after horse-drawn carts, that is, anyway. Unbelievable stuff. But yeah, see you soon for some more stories from the world of cars here on the motoringchronicle.com. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always, guys. Have a great day. Have a great weekend ahead, and we'll see you very soon.